Hi, I'm Temidaro, and in this tutorial I will teach you Python using VSCode, and I will do that by solving a very popular programming challenge called FizzBuzz. So if you are using Ubuntu, you just follow along with me, and if you are using Windows, you can still follow along as well. So if you are using Ubuntu, you just hold Alt Ctrl T to open up the terminal. So type cd desktop. This cd command is used for entering folders or directories. So next type mkdir FizzBuzz. As you can see here, I have a new folder in my desktop. On my desktop, the mkdir command is used for creating folders or directory, and that's why we have mk for make, then dir for directory. So mkdir is a short version of make directory. So if you want to make directory, like you want to create new folders, you just use the mkdir command. So if you have VSCode installed from the previous video I dropped on the Discord channel, then you can enter the FizzBuzz folder and use code dots to open it in VSCode. So as you can see here, this is VSCode opened in the context of FizzBuzz. That is, this VSCode is open like from the FizzBuzz folder. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to create a new Python file called FizzBuzz.py. So all Python files end with .py. That's how your system or your laptop recognizes that it is a Python script or Python file. So I'm going to copy and paste the problem description here. I'll comment it out. So we have write a program that prints the numbers from 1 to n, but for multiples of 3, print fizz instead of the number, and for multiples of 5, print buzz. For numbers that are multiple of 2, 3 and 5, print FizzBuzz. So if the problem statement is not clear to you, I'm going to break it down. So hash is used for commenting out, that is the lines of code that you don't want Python to execute. You put hash in front of it. So let's say n is equals to 100. N can be any number. N can be 2000, but I'm going to choose 100 to make things simple here. So from 1 to 100, that is from 1 to n, then I want to print fizz if number is a multiple of 3, or otherwise if a number can be divided by 3 without any remainder, then we print fizz. That is if number divided by 3 if we divide a number by 3 and the remainder is 0, then we print fizz. And in the other case, if the number can vary by 5 without any remainder, then we print buzz. And if the number can be divided by 3 and can also be divided by 5 at the same time without any remainder, then we print fizz and buzz together. Otherwise, if the number cannot be divided by 3 and 5 without any remainder, we just print the number itself. So I choose this challenge because it will teach you basic Python, basic Python code, because we are going to, we need for loop, for instance, we need the if statements, and even if possible we use function as well. So I'm going to use function. In my own opinion, I'm going to use function to make things a little bit interesting. So before I start, let's set up our VSCode to make things look nice. So if you are using VSCode, type Ctrl+J. So you can see Ctrl+J opens up a terminal for you, and this is where we are going to run our Python code. If you are using Ubuntu like me, you run Python code with Python command here. But if you are using Windows, you just use py. Do you understand? Python P for Ubuntu, py for Windows. And another thing I want to teach you is how to customize VS Code to some degree. So if you prefer, I love having my terminal on the right side of the screen. So you just press Ctrl, Shift and P together, then you type panel. So you see multiple options: move panel to top, move panel to bottom, panel right, panel left. So I can click on this one and you see that my panel is now on the right side like this. And you can just experiment, just try multiple directions, and probably you will find the one that works for you. And if you want to close this box, you can adjust it, can you see, or close it by pressing Ctrl+P. Can you see? So I love closing up things so as to have more space to write code. And you can close your terminal if you are not running code. So you Ctrl+J for both opening and closing. Do you understand? And you can also customize your VS Code more by coming or pressing Ctrl, Alt and K. It's not working. I think it's okay. Ctrl+K, Ctrl+T. Sorry, Ctrl+K, Ctrl+T. You press Ctrl+K first, then Ctrl+T. So it's going to, you can change the theme of your VS Code entirely. So we have Monokai, Kimby, Dark, Dracula theme, soft, Dracula theme, red, Monokai themed, solarized, dark, tomorrow. You can select anyone you prefer. You can even select white ones, light ones, but I don't think anybody likes light theme. So I'll go with dark theme. I use Dracula theme. So, and you can come here to install more. You just click on this icon here, then you can search for theme. So you see many themes. You can just install anyone you prefer. So it's just like a little bit of fun. So that's up to you. Now I'm using Dracula theme for my VS Code. So as you can see here, this is showing Python. Don't worry about the rest. These ones aren't important for now. So let's get started. And I hope that you already have Python installed on your laptop. And if you are running this on the web, don't bother. Just check. Let me put this thing back to panel bottom. So Python version. So I have Python installed and my own version is 3.12.3. So let's move on. Now let's start solving this problem. When you have a programming problem in front of you, you have to think of how to solve it, how I'm going to start, what are the things I'm going to need. Like, this is a very simple programming problem. It's not really difficult like that. So I'm going to start by writing a function. If you want to write a function in Python, you use the def keyword. So def, followed by the function name, because all functions must have a name. So let's call the function FizzBuzz. Then after the name of the function, do you understand? You open and close parentheses like this. This is a VS Code feature. It helps you complete it, like open and close. Then after that, write a colon. As you can see, then you press enter. So if your VS Code is configured for Python, it should help you auto indent it. As you can see, there's a space from here to here. That is called indentation, and you must indent your Python code properly for it to work. Unlike other languages like JavaScript, for instance, where you use code blocks, if you write it anywhere, it will still run. But here, indentation is very, very, very important. Do you understand? So don't worry about that. I think VS Code should really help you with the indentation out of the box. So we have the def, which is mandatory for all functions. FizzBuzz, this can be anything. It can be buzz, fizz. It depends on what the function will do. Just name it anything. You can name it welcome, you can name it A, B, C, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can even have underscore. Do you understand? This is permitted. So, but in this case, I call it FizzBuzz. Then, here is my parentheses, colon, and the next line. So inside this parentheses, we can put stuffs called parameter, like let's say n here in this case. So n represents anything. Do you understand? Like, functions are like factories that get input and produces an output. So in this case, n is our input. It can be a number, a string, anything. Do you understand? Then I want to process or write a code that works with n in this case. So let me just print n here in our function to get started. So now let me come down here, and this is a function definition, and that's why we have def here, like define, or define is better. So when you define a function, you can use that function later. Defining a function does not mean the function will run immediately. So let me just try and show you that. Let me say Python FizzBuzz.py. Sorry, like misspelling. Python FizzBuzz.py. Can you see? Just if, like, for this one, if you've typed something in a timeline, just use the up and down key to toggle between options. So can you see? Nothing is being printed out because this function key, like this function definition, does not run right away. You have to invoke it, like call the function in your code later. Now let's just say at the beginning here, let's just say print I welcome to boot. Come to boot. Let's run it again. Can you see? I welcome to boot. This code block, this number, like this line 11 runs, while line 12 to 13 does not run. Like technically speaking, it runs, but it's not doing anything at the moment. Do you understand? So now let's make it do something. So let's just come down here and call and say FizzBuzz. Then n, as you can see, we have a parameter here. So in this case, we're going to assume that n will always be a number. Like I said, n can be anything. N can be letters, lists, whatever. But here we're going to assume that we always assume that n is an integer, most especially that n is an integer. That is, integers are whole numbers from negative, or okay, let me say n is a positive integer, so meaning from 0 to infinity. Understand? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all numbers. That's what integers are in mathematics. So let's say FizzBuzz 40. Can you see now? Now because we call our function down here, now we have the code that we write here in line 12 to 16 will now run, and we have print 40, FizzBuzz 40, print 40. So we can call this function multiple times. FizzBuzz 100. Can you see the first one runs, the second one runs as well, and to run in different contexts. Like, don't worry about all these things. My goal here is not about to teach you Python, everything about Python for now. It's just to get you started, knowing some stuff. So that's how it goes. So have it in mind that n will be any positive integer. That's the restriction I'm giving to this function, because if the function is not restricted, then it's like when you have a medical doctor, and like being a medical doctor now, you have some sets of people that person can operate with, that can work with you. You can't just like, let's say you want to make a table now and go to the hospital. That's like error, because they don't make tables in hospitals, they treat people there. Do you understand? So each function has their specific job and role. So that's what all these things are. Now, so I'm just going to check first that if n if the type of n please pardon me, print type n. I want to say something. So FizzBuzz 20. Okay, class int. Don't worry about type checking for now. Let's just move on. Let's move on with what we have here. So we're just going to assume that the n will be a positive integer normally. So moving on. Now let's go back to our problem statement. I'm going to close this tab now. It's Ctrl J. That we should print the numbers from 1 to n. That is, we're going to print like 1 to whatever n is. So if n is 20, we're going to print like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. Do you understand? So how do we do that in programming? To print, to make things iterate, or print stuff over time, we use the for loop, for, for. So you can just, like, the for statement have a syntax, like the function stuff, to like for, just give it any name. Let's just say for I in range n, print I. Now let's run this thing here. Can you see? So it starts from 0 and end at 20. What these four statements is essentially doing is that it runs your code the number of a specific number of time, and we specify that that number of time with range function. This range function is a built-in function into Python itself, and you can invoke it anytime you need it. So range essentially, range shall give you put in n in here, and n is 20. Don't forget, n is 20. This n here, we pass in n 20, then n comes into this place. So we have range of 20. So what happens is that Python will create a list of 20 numbers for you, starting from 0 up to starting from 0 up to n minus 1. That is 0 to 19. Now that is not what we want exactly. We want to start from 1. Do you understand? So I'm going to say, let's say 1. We can specify where we want to start from and end at, let's just say n. Let's see. So you can see now that we are starting from 1 instead of 0. So we can just append +1 to it. Clear. Now can you see now? So we are starting from 1 to 20. I want to change this thing to the right. Close this page up so I can have more space. So you can see we have, so what this thing is just doing for I in range, this range will give us list of numbers first. So we start from 1 and end at n minus 1. Not essentially n minus 1, whatever this number here evaluates to, that's where the thing will stop. So it will stop at a number before that. So n plus 1, if n is 20, as in this case now, this will give us 21. Do you understand? This will give us 21, and that is going to start from 1 to n minus 1. So it's like 1 to 20 essentially. That's all. It's just like a little tweak to just make this thing print the way we want it. So let's just say 100 now, for instance. Can you see? We end at 100 and we start at 1. So that's how it goes. So we can just start inputting any number into this function invocation, and that's fine. Can you see? 1 to 5. So in this case, our n is 5, or let's say 10. So 1 to 10. So that's how this thing works. For loop is used to do things repetitively, like so anything you want to do like multiple times, you use for loop for it instead of doing it one time. Do you understand? So then in each case the stuff changes. I'm not here to teach you deep stuff. I just want to know how to write Python, and that's also just teach you basic syntax of it. So you will learn these things later on in the course. So let's comment this one out. Moving on. So we are being told that if the number is a multiple of 3, we should print fizz. So I was going to check if I divided, or if I modulo 3 is equals to 0. Print fizz. Now let's check. Can you see? So let me just comma it like this, like I comma fizz. Now you can see. Now we are doing some. We are iterating through 10 normally, and for every iteration I changes. I start from 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10. Now I'm checking here that if when you divide I with 3, the remainder is 0. That's what this percent sign means. Modulo in programming means divide this thing and get me the remainder. Do you understand? So if the remainder of the division of I by 3 is 0, then print fizz. Can you see? And take note of the print statement. I put print everywhere I need to see what is going on or happening in my program. If I do not print anything out, then the code will run internally, but nothing will be printed to this place. And in fact, this thing is not even working. Just like pass here. Now, you see, it's working, but nothing is printed to the screen, as you can see. So let's just move on. So put it back. So that's the stuff. Then I said if you multiply by 5, then remainder. So you can easily know that. You can check as well that if I modulo 5 is equals to 0, print box. Now if you check this thing very well, you see 3 print fizz, 5 print box, that is 5 modulo 5 equals to 0. So from number 1 to 10, 3 is divided by 3 without any number. So we have 3, we have 6 and 9 for fizz, we have 5 and 10 for box. Now the last condition is if I modulo 3 is equals to 0 and I modulo 5 is equals to 0, print I fizz box. So do you see this I and state, this and keyword is reserved in Python, and you cannot use and to name anything. And is reserved for Python. So what and means is that the conditions on the left side and on the right side must evaluate to true. Like it's a must, like compulsory. So you can see we don't have any FizzBuzz here, because from number 1 to 10 we don't have a single number that can be divided by 3 without any remainder, and at the same time can be divided by 5 without any remainder. So let's just increase this our n, let's say to 20, and let's check it and see the FizzBuzz. And that's 15. Can you see? 15 is a number that can be divided by 5 without remainder and by 3 without any remainder. So you see we have 15 fizz, 15 balls, then 15 FizzBuzz. So that's just all. We are true with programming stuff. And to make this thing more interesting, I'm going to put this thing on the top, at the top, like here. This thing is not in proper. Okay. Now instead of writing print, then I'm going to use the return keyword instead. So return FizzBuzz. So if I run this code again, nothing seems to be working, but it's actually working. So what you can do here is to store the value of what we get here into a variable. So let's just call it, let's say fair ver FizzBuzz 20, then let's print fair. Sorry, I've forgotten. This is not what we are told to do actually. I'm going to print numbers from 1 to n. not just print a single number. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to use that print keyword again instead of the return statement. So we don't need to store in a variable again. Let's just keep it like this. So instead, so you can keep editing as long as you want. Let's say 40. You come back here, clear the screen. You see, you can see 3, 5, 6, 9. All these numbers. You can change it to 1000 if you want. Just make sure you have enough space to run it. You see, but this time it's kind of much, but it's fun. It's fun. So that's all. We are through the stuff. So I hope you learned something. This is just to introduce you to Python. This is not meant to give you a well-rounded tutorial about it, because it's just to introduce you and give you a welcome to Python stuff. So this is the functions, how you define a function. So you can try it out and see if you can define your own function and make it do stuff. So we have numbers here, and these ones in string are called strings, or these ones in quotes are called string. You can't just write something like FizzBuzz. Python will throw an error if you try to run the code, because I just put them. You see. Okay, that's because it's not working. Let's say can you see trace back? So there's an error there because this thing is not a string, so you must always put word or characters in double quotes if you want to use anything like word. So we have the print statement, the if statement, you can also use if, else, elif, and other stuff too as well. So it just depends on you. So I hope you learned one or two things. I hope you learn how to configure your VSCode to make to change the thing and stuff like that. So that's all. So I'm going to also drop a video on how to work with the terminal in Ubuntu normal. So next week we're going to start the computer science course, like the MIT Python programming course, and I hope that in the next 3 months you'll be very good with Python. Thank you for watching this video. Bye for now.